Hello there, I'm Guy from Peddling Past, and Sarah is just over there at the fish shop and the bakery, getting our supplies ready for when we get back tonight. And we are in Burnham Market on the North Norfolk coast. Generally just a lovely spot, voted one of the top 10 most beautiful villages in England by Condé Nast Traveller magazine, and it's just a beautiful place to sample the diverse riding that North Norfolk has on offer. And of course, this being Peddling Past, we're going to put a little bit of mixed surface riding in there, and we're going to pack this with history. So we've got this lovely Georgian town where we're starting. We've got a bit of proper grandeur at Holkham Hall. We've got some reclaimed land and beautiful seaside at Holkham Bay. We've got Wells next to the sea, a really nice seaside town. We've then got a very rare thing, an Iron Age hill fort in Norfolk. Then we are down to the absolutely fascinating medieval pilgrimage village of Walshingham. And then we're back up a Roman road, past an old priory, and returning to Burnham Market. So it's 50 kilometres in distance, so one of the longer routes we've got on the channel, but it's super flat. It's easy riding, it's it's really low traffic as well. There's just one main road crossing on it, which is relatively quiet anyway. So it's suitable for all sorts of riders, levels of experience. And, you know, there are little bits of off-road on it, but they're literally just farm tracks. So nothing scary or sketchy at all. It's just a nice way of joining up some of the sections, and also showing you places you wouldn't normally find, even on a road bike. And of course, being on a bike, that means you get to experience all these wonderful places in a really beautiful, up close and personal way, because that's why we create and curate these routes so carefully at Peddling Past. Looks like we're sorted for supper then. And this is Burnham Thorpe. Probably can't see Nelson looking out over the playground over there, but he is there watching over the children playing in his ancestral home, and it was also where he stayed for a while in between ships before he went off and routed the Spanish and then the French navies and became a one-eyed, one-armed icon. But yes, this is Admiral Horatio Nelson's birthplace, and they're very proud of it, as they should be. And apparently there was a near riot when they tried to change the name of the pub a few years ago. Someone else bought it, tried to sort of upmarket it, didn't call it the Nelson anymore. Basically a riot. Had to reverse that decision very quickly. And this brick and flint cobble building technique is really very much a signature move of Norfolk up north here. I think I might have lied and said it was entirely flat. There is this climb out towards Holkham Hall, but it takes a kilometre to rise 40 metres, so it's not the steepest of Alps. Right, so we've just crossed the alignment of the old Roman road, heading north to the coast, and we'll be picking that up again later, but any second now, things are going to get very fancy. Holkham Hall. Somewhere I think even a Roman emperor would be proud of. And don't worry if the main gates are shut like they normally are. Just use this little side gate here, as beautifully demonstrated by Mrs. Kestevan. And now we're on to the beautiful estate of Holkham Hall. Morning! And as you can see, it's super cycle friendly. You can actually rent bikes here. And there are pre-planned cycle routes around the estate. So if you want to add a little bit of distance, you can go around through the walled gardens, around the boating lake, around the church. And now we're around the obelisk, and there is Holkham Hall itself.
So we're outside Holkham Hall now, and you can see it's quite austere from the front, and it's in the Neo-Palladian style. But the interior is anything but austere. The entrance hall is made from Derbyshire sourced alabaster, and it's in a light pink hue. We're going to go and grab a cup of coffee now.
And you've got a beautiful little estate village of Holkham itself. But just be careful as you're rolling down past the art gallery and the pub, because that is a main road ahead of us, so you just need to be careful crossing that. And now we're at the beautiful nature reserve and marshland bay of Holkham Bay. Amazing landscape. Kind of only started forming, did you say in the 50 years ago. So started forming sort of the 70s. Sorry, Sarah's actually read the notice board. Different.
If you look here, you can see this mauve haze, which is sea lavender.
Which I didn't even know was a thing.
I've seen it occasionally. The fishmonger near us occasionally has red samphire for sale, and that's what you can see in this reddish haze around the edges, red samphire, and then you've got sea lavender in the centre.
But get that from your local fishmonger. Don't go taking it from here, because it says site of special scientific interest, and this whole area here is a nature reserve in these sand dunes as well, and it's no cycling here, just point that out, so just walk, but it's well worth walking your bike up from the lookout, because there's another little calf. I mean, you've only come probably about a kilometre from Holkham Hall, but there's another little calf just down there and a lookout over the marshland inland, and that is a really important area for migrating birds as well. And as you can see, this is one of the little bits of off-road riding, but lovely quiet cycle path around the back of the dunes. And this is actually on National Cycle Network 1 of the Susterans route, so just be ready for it to be quite busy with holidaymakers and dog walkers and people just enjoying this beautiful landscape. And keep your speed low, sound your bell, be nice, say hi, and if you need to stop, no worries. Afternoon. Afternoon. So we've just pedalled past the beach cafe at Wells Next to the Sea. Didn't want to film there because you don't want to interrupt people having their ice creams really, but if you're creaky and a bit leaky like us at our age, then there's some loos there as well. And then we're just rolling down behind the sea defences. There's actually a miniature railway running parallel to us as well, down to Wells Next to the Sea. So we're just outside the chandlery, the old ship's equipment and rope place at the sort of the traditional end of Wells Next to the Sea, I'd call this. And you can see the last remains of the malting warehouses up there, which were really important for the malting trade. It was this whole part of Norfolk. They were exporting all around the North Sea, and then their fishing fleet used to go up hunting herring as far as Iceland. As I say, if you just turn up one of these little back streets. Oh, crikey. Oh, right.
The centre of it is absolutely terrific. I love Wells Next to the Sea, and I'm really sure you're going to too. It's got fantastic little quirky shops, great looking food. There were so many places like great crab sandwiches, and you know, the queues, but it was busy today, but it is the school holiday season, and that's why we couldn't film. But the cafes and everything looked of a really high standard, all of which is very locally sourced for the food. They seem to be very proud of their local produce here. Every second shop was something interesting, something different.
And here, as you'll see, we're at the junction of the National Cycle Network Route 1, which has a little Wells and Holkham circuit, which is effectively what we've just done, but you just find little gems like this little cuckoo cottage here. I mean, you're never going to find this if you're driving around the area, or that's what we really like about gravel, isn't it, love?
Yeah,
it's just the hidden stuff.
It is. And this, you just wouldn't be able to find this in a car. Why would you drive this way? But you can cycle it because of all the different ways you can get on your bike.
Hurrah for gravel and hurrah for bikes.
Yes.
And here we are at the very busy Warham station on the Wells and Walsingham Light Railway, which is a lovely little narrow gauge railway running all the way from, as you'd imagine, Wells to Walsingham, which is basically the journey we're doing now. Hop aboard, Mrs. Kestervan. Now we're just freewheeling through Warham. Very pretty village. Lovely old flint, cobble and brick houses here. So this is just about 100 metres walk along a little farm track, but well worth the diversion because this is Warham Camp. And it's an Iron Age hill fort, which again, you know, alone in Norfolk. There's only about 4 Iron Age defended sites known in North Norfolk, and this is actually on a hill, as you can see.
So I was just wondering, because I don't know anything about this sort of era. How does this work? What were they actually trying to achieve with this? And what am I looking at?
Well, it's effectively a castle and a settlement. So it looks like, if you look over there, sorry. There? If you look over there, yeah, you've got the gateway in there, which would make sense. It's slightly lower down, where that notch is there, yeah. But you'd often have your hut circles in here, which is where they were living. Some of them weren't constantly occupied, and there's not much archaeology being done on this one. So I can't say for definite whether this one was permanently occupied or anything. But it's basically, you know, it's a fortified site. So the Iceni were the Iron Age tribe who eventually rebelled against the Romans, but they'd have been fighting other tribes. They're fighting tribes from Mercia and almost as far as Northumbria. And this, you know, this is a castle site. So you'd have had probably wooden palisade on top of these ramparts as well. And you know, you're just protecting yourself, but also being able to command enough people to, you know, dig this with ox shoulder blades.
Crazy. So would this have had water in it? Or would
No. Well, we don't know for certain, but it's unlikely. There's no evidence, you know, because the main kind of source of evidence of this is the Romans. They're the ones who talk about it, and there's no record of like wet moats, as they're called. On
the bend of what was a river was here,
the Stiffkey,
here. So I was wondering whether they put wooden stakes up and put water through.
No, I mean they probably just built it on the river because it's a really useful source of water and hunting, fishing, and
Oh, that's really interesting.
But I mean, and also yes, it's been dated to the Iron Age, but you get sites like this in the Bronze Age as well, and they're often superimposed over Neolithic sites. And
so
and Walsingham's just over there, and then the village of Warham is over there. So, you know, as always, it's just a really interesting interconnected landscape. So definitely well worth the diversion off the road. And this is the beautiful village of Great Walsingham. So, because although we've called out a lot of the kind of really big historical places, down to the right, love, you know, there are loads and loads of these gorgeous little villages too, all with their own stories and tales to tell from way back in time. And it's even got a nice ford. If you want to wet your wheels. Really must get around to fitting a mudguard on the back for Mrs. K. So there's loads of reasons why people make the pilgrimage to Walshingham, but I've got to be honest, for me it's all about this farm shop. What do you reckon, Mrs. K?
Oh, tip top.
Are you feeling refueled now?
Certainly am.
Things went a bit quiet.
Not in a happy place a little bit before.
Yeah, the Iron Age took it out of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It did.
So yeah, we're over 30 kilometres in now, so 20 kilometres to go. You ready?
Yes.
Splendid.
Flapjack powered.
So the story of Walsingham actually starts back, well, I mean, there's a standard North Norfolk village before that, I'm sure, but then just before the Norman invasion in 1061, the lady of the manor sees the Virgin Mary, who tells her to build a model of the house of Assumption in Nazareth, and well, it kicks off a major religious fervour that ends up with it being the second most important pilgrimage site in Britain, and it's still attracts over 250,000 visitors per year to the Abbey, to the Priory, to the shrines, to the pilgrimage shops, pilgrimage bookshops, pilgrimage related cafes. And there's 4 churches alone in the village, including a Greek Orthodox church and the old railway station. So yeah, this is pretty much peak pilgrimage. And it's not just in the UK people are coming from, you know, there's chapels in Kings Lynn that are purely set up for the pilgrimage trade to Walshingham. And now we're heading to the UK's Nazareth itself.
One thing I noticed as we were going through the village of Walshingham was the house names, which is quite interesting. They weren't house names like you and I would recognise, like Ridge House or whatever. They were called Ascension House or Thomas a Becket, or so everything's, oh hello Mook House, everything's very religiously themed in the village. So when you're riding out of the village, do be careful of the pilgrims making their last mile of the Slipper Way.
And we're coming up to the Slipper Chapel now, which is so called because it's where really devout visitors start their journey on barefoot, the last mile into Walshingham. And it's a lovely little chapel, but interestingly, it was only revived again in the late 19th century. Up to that point, it'd been used as a cowshed, a forge, poorhouse, all sorts of things, basically, because after the dissolution of the monasteries, obviously that hit Walshingham really, really hard. But just be careful as you go through here. I mean, it's later in the afternoon, so not as busy, but you will find a lot of people around here where their mind's on a spiritually higher plane than just watching out for cyclists. So, yes, pilgrims move in mysterious ways as well as the Lord. We've just gone past Barsham Brewery. Like I say, brewing, malts, and very, very important in this area. There's also generally a monastic link to that as well. So I liked a bit of mead, a bit of ale with the monks. So as you might have guessed, from the complete straightness of this stretch of farm track, this is that Roman road I was talking about before. Straight north, up to the coast, and then there it would have linked up with the road running along to Brancaster, the big Saxon shore fort, which is just to the east of Burnham Market, or at least the site of it is. To be honest, there's not actually much there to see, but very, very important fort. It seems that it was a fort there from after the Boudiccan rebellion, but it was definitely reinforced with big high stone walls and towers as a base for the Roman fleet when the first Saxon and Anglian and other invaders, including the Scots were coming down the coast as well, or the Picti as they were then. So, you know, Norfolk's always been a popular destination for, shall we say, aggressive tourism. This is much more mellow tourism. Well, at least I hope you'll find it is. Just be careful of the brambles and the nettles off to the side. So now it's time to leave that Roman road alignment behind. You can see it heading off there, up towards Holkham Hall. But we're going to turn a little bit east now to South Creek, to North Creek, just to get us out of the way of some busy roads and just enjoy the last bit of the route on some beautiful, quiet Norfolk back lanes through old broadleaf woods like that. I love, you know, as much as I love the kind of landmarks and really obvious history, I love imagining the tales like woods and roads and trackways, because they are so ancient. This landscape could tell if you could look back into all the people who've been moving around in this landscape since well, since about 10,000 years ago, and there's quite a lot of Mesolithic camps in the area from when it was connected to Doggerland, the giant prehistoric Paleolithic landmass that's now under the North Sea. And you know, not far from here you've got the largest mammoths found in the UK at West Runton. So that's why they call it the Deep History Coast. And you're only about a mile from the coast at Burnham Market too. And now we're rolling through North Creek. And there is a sort of old abbey with a little sort of artisan crafty shopping centre, foodie place just up the road, but that means going up the B road. So you can detour that way. I mean, it's not busy. It's busy by the standard of the roads we've been using so far. But now we're just taking a slight detour by a slightly murky village pond back up to Burnham Market. So just the last few kilometres now. Hopefully back in time for afternoon tea. Right, so that's the final pull up Beacon Hill. I must admit, I'm sorry, that was a bit more of a pull than I thought it was. But looking ahead now, we're just rolling down. You can see the sea on the horizon and the houses down below at Burnham Market. So, hope you've enjoyed this wonderful roll back through history with us. We're off to go and get a cream tea, don't you reckon, Mrs. K?
I am jiggered.
Well, we normally do sign up sort of on sign off on location really, but we were wanting to get some cream tea, so thanks to the host hotel for sorting us out with an afternoon tea. And just to say, actually, we've just had loads and loads of really good experiences with food at Gurney's Fish Shop. We just had an amazing sort of seafood supper. We just scrambled together from Gurney's and the Thornham Deli. We had great pizza from Eric's Pizza Place last night. You're really keen to... You want to go back tomorrow and visit?
Yeah, I want to go back to Wells by the sea and have a look at the little high streety thing that we had to walk up because it was so busy today. But there looked to be such great shops up there. So
yeah, and back to Burnham Market again.
Oh, and Burnham Market, so, yes.
We just kind of wanted to give a shout out to all the local people and local businesses who've made this a really, really memorable trip, actually. And not least, the Cliff Farmhouse B&B, which is where we're staying in Hunstanton. Vicky and Graham been amazing, haven't they?
Yeah,
superb
really,
hosts. I mean,
really
we're not doing this in a horrible cheesy influencer way in any way.
No.
We certainly haven't got a discount. We wouldn't dream of asking for one because we're just a tiny little, we're just a pair of idiots talking to a GoPro in a very, very nice sunny garden having stuffed themselves with seafood. But just, we're really firm. We're passionate about history, we're passionate about cycling, we're passionate about really good food, but we're also really, really passionate about kind of supporting the local community in any way we can and making sure that people who deserve a shout out really get a shout out. So we'll put links to all the people who've been stars of the show on at the end in the description. There'll be a GPX in there. I'll do a website page as well on Pedaling Past where there'll be some stills photos on there and other behind the scenes information that you might need. But obviously if there's anything you've missed out or anything you want to make a comment about, just get busy down below in the comments to make sure you don't miss the next episode. Subscribe, click for notifications so you get a buzz on your phone, and if you've enjoyed riding with us today, give us a thumbs up, like. And we've just done this, haven't we?
Yes.
We've done quite a few in Yorkshire now. We've done Windsor Great Park.
So in Wales?
Yeah, we've done one in Aberystwyth, but we're just adding to we're hoping to add to the site all the time. And obviously, the more feedback we get from you guys to how you want us to present, how you'd like the mapping done, and different things like that, just shout out, really. Yeah.
We're not professionals. We're just doing this because we love cycling, and we understand how hard it can be to put routes together. To know you're doing it on legal bridleways, to make sure you're not, getting lost anywhere, or you're not riding on footpaths, etc. We're going to sort all that out for you. So follow us, to get this curated trails of all the different places we can get to. But do bear in mind, we have other jobs as well.
Yeah. So it's not going to be a regular professional workflow on this. We're doing it as often as we can because we love doing it.
Yes.
But we really hope you've enjoyed joining me, Sarah, and Guy at Peddling Past for some time travel gravel. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram as well, at Peddling Past, unsurprisingly. So yeah, you'll get more updates on there. But anyway, thanks for spending the time with us. Hope you enjoyed it.